ورحمة الله وبركاته. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today's the narration is regarding the loss that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced, or in the grief that he had when he lost his beloved adopted son Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu an. So Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu an, he mentions that once when Zayd ibn Haritha, when he was martyred, Usama, who was the son of Zayd ibn Haritha, Usama radiallahu an, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, but he came a little bit late. He got delayed in visiting the Prophet ﷺ after the incident happened. So when he came to him, he stood in front of the Prophet ﷺ. As soon as the Prophet ﷺ saw him, his eyes filled up with tears. And seeing this, the Prophet ﷺ, he started to cry. And as the tears flowed from his eyes, the Prophet ﷺ said, Lima abta'ta anna, like, why did you delay? Like, how come you didn't come earlier? Because now ثُمَّ جِئْتَ تُحْزِنَنَا, like basically the wound was fresh, and Rasulullah ﷺ was just, you could say, healing from the grief a little bit, and then he came, and then the grief, basically the wound is reopened now. Now he's seeing the son of Zayd bin Haritha, and again he's reminded. Let me actually backtrack a little bit, it will maybe understand a little bit better. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was gifted Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu an by his wife, he freed him and he basically made him his son. At that time, if you adopt someone, they were allowed to become, or they could be treated as an actual son. And people started calling him Zayd bin Muhammad, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that's not allowed, you have to keep the lineage the same, we cannot change the lineage. So, his name was retracted, Zayd bin Haritha. And then, basically he grew up alongside the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved him just like a son, right? And we all know about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's two grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anhuma, right? Now, just like how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would play with Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anhuma, similarly he would play with Usama bin Zayd radiallahu an. They were basically all, together like his grandchildren. Obviously two were his actual grandchildren, and one was from his adopted son. So they were all very close, and he would care for them just the same way. So now when we look at this hadith, it might give us a little bit different understanding. That when he saw him, what he felt, and he finally kind of recovered, and he saw him, and then basically started to cry again. Then the next day, Usama bin Zayd radiallahu anh, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, and again when the Prophet ﷺ saw him approaching, he said, I am seeing from you what I saw from you yesterday. And when he drew closer, his eyes filled with tears, and the Prophet ﷺ, seeing this, began to weep again. Both of them, of course, missing their father, Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anhuma. There are many lessons from here, of course, but one simple lesson we can take is that we all go through different griefs, right? And we have to realize that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we've talked about this, for the past few weeks now, we've been on the chapter of grief, how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt with it, how he treated those around him. These are lessons for us. This is something that we have to instill within ourselves. Because actually there was, someone sent me a hadith recently, I think it was last week, they was talking about grieving, right? And because we don't experience this all the time, we don't train ourselves or our mind on how to grieve. So when we are approached with the situation, many times it goes out of hand. Many times we lose our cool. And at that time, because the emotions are rampant and they're going wild, this is a training that we need to go through. So when we're hearing these incidents, number one, it's a training for us that how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam grieved, number one, and number two, the love and the compassion he had to his family. Whether it was adopted, as we know, adopting is one of the greatest deeds a person can do, adopting and raising a person, a child. But along with that, regardless if the child was adopted, whether it was a stepchild, whether it was, the Prophet ﷺ's love and the mercy that he showed to his family. This is something that we have to learn and implement in our life. I'll finish off with the incident where this is in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Some Sahabi, I can't remember the name, but some Sahabi, he saw the Prophet ﷺ kissing his grandchildren. So he says, "Oh, you kiss your grandchildren?" He's like, I forgot, he said 7 or 10 kids, and I've never kissed any of them. And Rasulullah ﷺ say that one who doesn't show mercy will not be shown mercy. Meaning, there's nothing embarrassing about showing love and compassion. We think that we have to be strict and firm, and this is the way to parent. There are times to be firm, but there are also times to show love and show that compassion to the children, to our family members, because this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to follow the sunnah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام وتباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك وغضبك والنار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.